very specifically. Mike, you asked about the relationship with our leaders. The position I held is a consultative position in terms of before a decision is made, there has to be a lot of consultations. But as I said before, because I also don't want to discuss personalities today, the position or the answer I gave before, I think it answers many things. That I have not had any conversation directly or on phone with any leader of our coalition in regards to the position I used to hold. And I think if you look at it, it answers many things also, which I also don't want to go into. In terms of the relationship with other leaders, I respect everyone. I mean, I'm one of those people who believe there's no person who becomes a leader by just being fetched from wherever. There is always a process they go through. Because I am one, I know. And therefore, in terms of you've asked the relationship between the president and the former deputy president, the position I hold is that I respect every leader. And I could have things I need to talk about. I could have reservations on decisions made, but I don't think it has been within my role to talk about those things, especially in public. The other thing in that question is that maybe for clarity's sake, the last discussion I had with the president of the country, the last political discussion, either a chat or a discussion as it were, was before October of last year. And I would not want, and you permit me to do that, not to discuss any further about any leader, because as you're all aware, I stopped serving in my position. It's barely a week. I also need to understand many things before I talk, because I believe as a leader, I mean, I lead people. There are people who look up to us as leaders, and therefore even when you see that I am not answering some questions, it's not because I can't answer them. I believe you have covered me previously, and you know for sure that respectively in this world I only fear God. So whatever I need to say, I have no reservation of saying. But also, we are given wisdom to say when to say, how to say it. And I believe we are here in Kenya. We'll keep interacting. If there is more to be said, if there is more to be clarified, we are allowed. Ronnie, he has been to Kiharu, by the way, to cover. Achana na. Taoja hii, maji ya dimu kidogo ndio. Mkiuliza swali kwa ikuwe sawa. Ronnie, you've been to Kiharu, and I am grateful. And by the way, I want to request anyone who would want to come to Kiharu to look at what we've been doing. We are more than glad to host you. We don't do these things, especially of hosting people, because we want to blow our own trumpet. We do these things because I am convinced that if leaders started competing on the basis of what they are doing, the country would become better wholesomely. If our competition as leaders is deliverables, and we compete about who is doing what in terms of tangibles and development, is a very good discussion that you would have as MPs, for example, because we hold CDF, and that is the reason why we would be glad even to host you. We have hosted, I think, 4 delegations of my colleagues in Kiharu on benchmarking exercises we actually don't call them benchmarking. We call them peer-to-peer learning, because I also learn from them. I am not a non-knowing, and I also learn from my colleagues a great deal. And in terms of, like, the video you see around me wearing some goldish shirt, I'm sure you have seen it. That was on 4th of January last year. It is not a recent video. And we have been doing those things primarily because I think at some point I was not doing the right thing, and at some point I learned. And therefore I feel that if I share my experiences with anyone, and I also learn from them, the management of public resources becomes better. If Keharo improves, any other Mvita improves, if Ebakasi East improves, if any other constituency improves, then Kenya holistically becomes a better place. And I want to underline, the leaders who come to Keharo, they don't come to learn because I am all-knowing and I know everything. I also learn from them. And that is why I also go to their constituencies to learn what they do. And I also know majority are trying their best. Specifically to answer you now, is that the projects you saw in Keharo, majority of it that we have done in our learning institutions, I actually did in my first term. In my first term, I was a member of a committee called Regional Integration. I think I have answered you. So I'll still call you next year. I hope we'll still be doing better, hopefully. Yes.